This week, episode 268 of Stogie Geeks, we interview Gary Liotta from the Santiago Cigar Factory out in Rochester, New York. Fascinating product, fascinating story, fascinating family story. We're going to talk a little bit about business in cigars, one of my two favorite topics. And then we will be having Paul Azadorian in studio for some Stogies of the Week. Here we go.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome everyone to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to Stogie Geeks, episode 268. I'm your host this week, Joe Hozempa. We have via Skype Gary Liotta. I knew it. Gary Liotta Jr. from Santiago Cigar Factory. How you doing?
How's everyone doing?
I'm doing good. We're doing good. Well, why don't you tell the before we get into who you are and what you do, why don't you tell them what I'm smoking? Because I just lit this up, and that's what's throwing me for a loop. I'm like, wow, this is a very strong cigar.
So that's one of our kind of specialty cigars that we do. It's called the Luna Eclipse. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a double wrapped Ecuador Maduro with a USA Connecticut, Pennsylvanian grown binder, and then Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Ecuadorian filler. Blended to be on the fuller side without any kind of harshness or bitterness on the smoke. Just nice thick smoke.
Yeah, I lit it up. I got a blast of white pepper, and then I had to introduce you in the show all at the same time. It literally, I was like, whoa, this is great. This is great. It's not necessarily a barber pole. I would say it's got like a little strip. Is there such word? A little barber pole strip?
It is actually two full wrappers. He just rolls it in a way where you just see the sliver, as opposed to the candy cane, which is two half wrappers, both predominantly displayed.
Right. Yeah, it's excellent smoke so far. With a little bit of show prep over last week with the goodies that you sent here to the studio, I was digging the candy cane as well. Excellent morning smoke. We'll get to that for sure. But Santiago Cigar Factory, family business, out in Rochester, New York, and you roll your blends currently on location there, correct?
We do about 80% here,
yep.
And then we do have now a small factory where during the off season we'll have them kind of rolling some stuff for us too, just to diversify the line. Obviously down there no lounge, so it's all storage. We probably keep it just maybe even a dozen but filler leaves that I just don't have the house warehouse space here in Rochester to keep. So we have them do it down there.
Right. So when you started, did you always start out with rolling services and lounge, or did you morph into the lounge? How did you get started?
We started with both. We started manufacturing and having a small lounge, and as the business grew, the lounge portion has grown with us.
So take us through the start of your business, how you got started. Obviously, now you're second generation because you run the business with your dad.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, Dad was, 32 years Eastman Kodak tool and die. One of the best tool and die guys in the Northeast. And back in 9 years ago, his department was bought by another company that wanted him to stay on and work. But they took all his tenure away, told him that you can have your pay rate, but we're taking your tenure. He was 32 years, didn't want to do it any longer. And he was a cigar smoker, had a love for cigars, and decided he wanted to get into this. And when Dad asked if I would come on and help him, since Dad never told me no, I couldn't tell him no either. and that's kind of how our company was born. Two guys fighting to get our name in a market that's pretty difficult to do out of Rochester.
Yeah, obviously you're from there, right? You didn't
Yeah,
decide,
yes, sir.
It wasn't like you were down somewhere and said, "Oh, we're gonna pick Rochester." So you're from there. You wanted to bring the culture and lifestyle to Rochester.
As much as our little shop could do, yeah. Me and Dad have a love for this city, with its faults and its downside. It's still home, and it was something where we thought that it would be able to be very unique to do what we do here in Rochester.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if you just tune into the show via YouTube or Facebook Live, we are speaking with Gary Liotta from Santiago Cigar Factory. You can visit them online at santiagocigarfactory.com, or we posted the link to our wiki page, wiki.stogiegeeks.com. So before we get into the blends and some of the services that you do, take us through when you started your business. I mean, Santiago, your last name's Liotta. So, how did Santiago start?
The name came from the city which our rolling family came from. We use a family named the Bonillas, and we do. One of the things in a Caribbean business, having the Italian last name out front wasn't going to kind of give it the same cachet as going with a Dominican city or a Dominican name. So that we came up with Santiago purely just kind of for a marketing standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now...
And then...
Go ahead.
Basically, the way the company started in its inception and kind of still goes today is I handle pretty much all of the domestic out of the shop, out of the office portion of it, and Dad handles the international portion, the sourcing the tobacco, overseeing the factory. So it kind of gave us two clear sets of guidelines of what we were going to do, and it keeps two roosters out of the hen house for long, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a good methodology, especially when it comes to family business. If you both focus on two different aspects, it gives you the opportunity to play your strengths. For sure.
Yeah.
So if the Stogie Geek listener goes to SantiagoCigarFactory.com, you got some. It's an interesting mix. And when I first contacted you to have you come on the Stogie Geek show, I'm interested in the aspect of it's not like you started a regular cigar shop, you want to be a tobacconist shop, you're on Main Street, USA, and you're going there. You really wanted to really embed the culture into the shop. And at least this is what I'm picking up from the website, right? Because you offer services like master rolling services, which I think that not enough shops do anymore. And then you also...
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. We're both excited to talk about your business. I like it, right? It's going to be a great interview. It's going to be a great interview. And then you also have different cigars that are there. And when I look at the methodology of the business, right? So in other words, if the Stogie Geeks listener wanted to get his or her hands on some of these cigars, which, I want to get my hands on more of than what you sent me. So I'm intrigued with the story myself. It looks like from a business perspective, you have room to grow there as well.
Yes. Well, one of the things that we decided very early on was due to the tax implications in New York State, we couldn't fight for the lower end cigar market. You could go to Thompson's and get a bundle of cigars for $40. We can't do that manufacturing in Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
So we set out early on that we were going to roll the most premium cigars that you could find in the world, in our opinion. And that's when Dad really started taking off and going down to the Dominican and sourcing tobacco and testing out blends. And while he was doing that, I spent my time just kind of beating down the doors of anybody who wanted a hand-rolled premium cigar, just to try to get the name out there. And it didn't take us very long to hit on a couple of blends, and it just kind of snowballed from there. The more we got into offering boutique cigars, the more people here wanted boutique cigars. So it was one of those things where we got lucky and the business plan worked out from the get-go, which as a startup business doesn't always happen.
For sure, but I also think that your timing is correct, and go with me a little bit on this one, because there's only two of us. We can kind of elaborate more for the interview process. You know how when a consumer goes to a retail shop, and then you have, obviously, anything hand-rolled tobacco is premium tobacco, right? So, okay.
Yeah.
So then you have ultra-premium tobacco, which is defined in some of the marketing by other shops. They say, okay, this is premium, and then, they'll do a drink special with something, say, well, ultra premium. And I look at them not only from a marketing perspective, but like, okay, who decides ultra premium? That being said, with your timing, you started in 2009, correct? My math's right? Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So 2009, right? And then you have what I call, on this show and previous to this show, I was on a AM radio station in the Providence Metro dealing with cigars. It was called the Cigar Club. So I've been doing either a podcast or radio methodology for the past 4 years on that. And so, but pre to that, you have like all the boutiques coming in, okay? And then you put yourself in the category of a boutique, sure, fine. But, I mean, wouldn't it be ultra boutique? Because you're really getting the tobacco from a smaller factory, and then you're rolling, like you said, 80% of it yourself. Most of it looks like it's exclusive to this Rochester address, to Santiago Cigar Factory. So it's like not only boutique, and with the boutique revolution, people are all the consumers are chasing all the Nicaraguan cigars. Nicaraguan is putting a big dent in the Dominican pie, if you will, from a market share perspective. That's way out in the open. It's fact, right? And so but now it's like, to me, when I first viewed the site, SantiagoCigarFactory.com, I looked at it and I was like, man, this is like ultra boutique. Am I?
There would probably be a better way to classify it, probably.
Please do.
Tobaccos. We're sourcing tobaccos that the big companies, they wouldn't really be able to take it and put it in a standard line of cigars. We'll go buy a bale or two of certain tobaccos that we know after 25,000 cigars, that blend is either going to have to be altered, or we're going to have to try to source that tobacco again. And there's come times where we've run into some really magical leaves one year, and then when we get them the next year, they're not as, the flavor and the smoke quality is not the same. So we'll just, that becomes an old blend, and we'll move on to the next one. And if you're like, for instance, we sourced a tobacco. We actually, when we were rolling for the PGA tournament that they held in Rochester in 2013, they wanted us there all 7 days in the clubhouse rolling cigars, but the gig was you had to come up with something special. So we went and sourced this Indonesian tobacco, actually a Paraguayan leaf of tobacco called from the San Fernando Valley, and there was, I believe, 12 bales available for everybody's consumption, which Arturo Fuente had a lock on, but because of our connections down in the Dominican, we were able to source one of those bales, and after 25,000 cigars, the next year's harvest wasn't the same, so the cigars had to be amended accordingly.
So constantly you're rotating the blends that you offer then?
Yeah, we'll have some certain kind of standards, like our House Connecticut blend's been the House Connecticut blend for 9 years. That one hasn't changed. But our House Maduro blend, for instance, has gone through probably 3 or 4 incarnations to get to the one we're at now. So there is a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of sampling and testing, which, that's the fun part of the business when you manufacture it. You get to sample and test all the new tobacco.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is certainly a lot of that involved in what we do. From year to year, harvest to harvest, crops to crops, stuff like that.
Now, who does that internally within your organization? Is that you, or is that your dad?
The purchasing of the tobacco or the sampling and all that?
The sampling for the blends for the consumer.
Well, what we'll do is we'll get the samples of the tobacco in. Then my father, myself, and there's two other guys who were customers who are now employees, who we trust their palate enough to include them in on it. But for the most part, every blend in there is going to go through me and Dad.
Yeah, it's awesome. This full cigar that I'm having, what's the name of it? It was the
Luna Eclipse.
Yeah, the Lunar Eclipse, right? It starts off, it's got a blast of pepper, and then it just mellows out, and it's so tasty, you know. And it just reminds me of, you know, when you get to the halfway point of a cigar and it gets good. Right after that, it's like right there, and I just lit it up, you know. So it's interesting how mellow it is. How old is this stuff? Like, how much has it aged from it being rolled to the samples that you sent us here?
The tobacco itself will sourced age. But that cigar that you're smoking, we had him roll you up a couple of fresh ones last week before I sent them out. So that cigar is probably still not even a week old.
Yeah. It's just mellow and it's tasty. You know, I'm really enjoying it. When I had the first one I had when you had shipped it was the candy canes. There, I put a nice bullet cut there, and I mean, I had it in the morning, and I was like, wow, I can't wait for this interview, because you're certainly onto something with that. Now, you don't distribute, obviously, in any stores, or is it just really hyper-regional?
We have a couple of cigar stores locally that carry us. And one of the things that we've branched out and done because of us being licensed and bonded to manufacture cigars is we've taken some of our blends that we would infuse, you know, different kinds of flavors. And I work with a bunch of different microbreweries and wineries in the area, and we infuse cigars with their either wine, beer, whiskey, what have you, and it becomes theirs. We custom band it, and it becomes theirs. We give them the humidor it sets on their bar top. So that between a couple of the cigar stores and the microbreweries and wineries, we also have a couple of country clubs we work with, but very much so regional as of right now. That's part of our goal for this year, is to kind of expand, get our e-commerce store up and running. So instead of having to call or email us, you can just go online like any place else and, you know, pick out your cigars, get them shipped to you. You know, but that's this year's focus. Yep.
So that's actually what was one of my next questions, is where can the Stogie Geeks listener get their hands on some of this stuff? Because it also you have, if you had a big event coming up, you know, if you were either corporate event or family event, family reunion or something like that, you're able to put custom bands on the blend that the consumer would choose, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We do custom banding for just about, you know, for instance, when the Buffalo Bills had hired us to come and roll at Andre Reed's induction ceremony, his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, we made him up a custom 83 band to go on all the cigars that were going on out that day. Just something to add a little bit of a touch to what we were doing. For the PGA, we actually used Oak Hill. We got their logo and put that on the cigars because that was a country club that the tournament was at. But yeah, we do it for birthdays, wedding anniversaries, charity golf tournaments, anything you could think of where a person would want a customized band. Business owners who hand out some cigars to their guys who smoke cigars will come in and get a custom band with the blend they like. So yeah, that's something we do quite often. Yeah,
it's a good price. It's a good marketing point for you to offer that, because you know, if the occasion was truly special enough and they wanted to, and if they were a avid cigar smoker or really into the culture, it's just a win-win if they just, you know, utilize a company like yours, because they get the small batchness of the blend. and then they can customize the logo as well. And it just seems like a win-win. That's why I was so excited to get to interview you and kind of find out a little bit more about the business. For sure. It's
interesting.
It's what?
Oh. It's interesting in what we do business model wise, because you wouldn't be able to get the small town feel from. For instance, my father is not the cigar company. My father.
Yep.
They're not going to make a custom band for Joe's 20th high school reunion,
right,
unless you're willing to drop a significant amount of money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then some of the other companies, they have it's a boy, it's a girl, and some of the generic ones and stuff like that. They all have their purpose. They all have their purpose, but it just like I said, when I found out about the company, I was very excited about the niche of it and the business niche. And then when I did some research, I'm like, wow. First thing that pops in my mind is point of purchase is they can grow that way. You can build a demand for your product, grow that way. If I still owned a cigar shop in the Providence Metro, a company like yours would be something that I would want to highlight. It's because I think it just has that. It just has a unique flavor. And then here's the kicker. It's kind of like when we interview people here constantly on the Stogie Geeks, right? And I find it a win-win when I get the cigars shipped to us here in the studio, and then we get to them and we're like, whoa, wait a minute, he's good. That's a plus, and so when I had the experience to sample what you had sent to us, I was like, wow. I was like, these are they're really good. We were just talking offline about the cap, the artwork on the cap. I mean, there are some bigger blends out there, and when sometimes the cap can be a little fledgling, and the craft of the cigars, you can really pay attention to whoever rolled it was meticulous enough to care about whatever it is that they were doing. Yeah,
and that's one of the cool things with our lounge is that if you come in Monday through Saturday, our rollers in the front making cigars. There was one of those things that for anybody local, they'll come in, and when they see them rolling, the first thing they ask is, "Can I take a picture?" And I tell them, my roller is the most photographed person in Rochester. He doesn't mind at all.
Right, yeah.
And that's how our name's gotten out there, is guys have come in and seen this or seen us at an event and said, oh, wow, there's these guys in Rochester that are rolling cigars right in town. You should go down and check them out. And then when they get in, clip the cigars and light them. The construction's going to be top-notch. The flavor will be top-notch. The presentation's going to be top-notch, which is very important when you're angling as a boutique shop. You can't offer less than stellar construction or flavor and then expect that people would come back.
Right, absolutely. Now, from the lounge perspective, only Santiago cigars are available for the consumer, or do you have
yes, sir.
See that I find now? I kind of assume that from the website, because I was talking to some of my colleagues who either follow me or ask me who the next guest is, and I'm like, how I introduced you, I says, we got a fascinating business model coming up, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's a lounge like this, only they offer, I think, and now I know for a fact, only they offer their own blends, and they were like, well, that's dangerous, and I was like, well, not if it's good. Right? I mean, right? I mean, so it's always been that way too for all 9 years.
Yeah.
Right. Good for you.
Early on, there were times where guys would come in who didn't know us, and I would just put it to them: flip the cigar, light it. If you don't like it, I won't charge you for it. And I have yet to not have to charge somebody, because that really is my father and I, that's our goal and our passion, is to offer the best cigars that we can find, that we can roll across the board. You come in and get my house Connecticut, it's going to be, if you're a mild guy, that or the candy cane will take care of you and still give you a nice flavorful smoke, where in a lot of mild cigars you get a mild smoke but not a lot of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
We'll offer it to you with some flavor.
Mm.
And so early on it was a little bit touch and go when you're selling only your own stuff and guys come in, and much like any other kind of product, there's name recognition. So,
sure.
Had to be willing to stand up behind the product and tell people, like, this is the best we can find for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, have you watched a couple episodes of Stogie Geeks? At least to you can say yes or no.
I have seen a couple.
You know, I'm a little, like, my reputation probably precedes me, where I'm a little harsh on some of the companies when it comes to either construction quality or just overall product, right? So,
yes.
I'm not kissing your ass, right? When I smoked this cigar and when I smoked the candy cane, I was getting aftertaste, almost like a popcorn butter, maybe caramel, not so much cocoa, but like a really tobacco, old school tobacco sweetness. Is that in the profile for that? Because you know, sometimes, you know, when some of the boutiques come out, round one is always great, right? I mean, every shop flies out of them. They order their 100,000. They're phenomenal, and there's enough hype for them to order 250,000. Then they get to the 250,000 sticks, and it's garbage.
The magic's gone.
The magic's gone. Or the stick, if you were really into that stick, you realize that it's just not the same on your palate and whatnot. And so,
right,
you know, flavor profile. Take us through all the blends and what the flavor profile. So some of the Stogie Geeks listeners, if they're interested, they can go to SantiagoCigarFactory.com. Again, it's posted on wiki.stogiegeeks.com, and they'll be able to either pick up the phone and call you or flash you an email and say, hey, we heard about this over here on Stogie Geeks. This is what we can get, and away you can go via shipping. So, but take us through the blends, because the Corojo sticks out separate from me. It's good, but I think that this one here and your candy cane, I'm really getting that sweetness, that tobacco sweetness.
Well, depending on it'd be a little bit difficult because I do probably 30 different blends.
Okay.
But with our mild blends, one of the things that's going to set it apart is we'll use in the filler blend for the Seco, the milder filler tobaccos that go in. We'll use a Piloto Cubano grown in the Dominican, and that kind of adds flavor without adding the body to it. Now we'll use the Piloto is kind of our standard Seco that we use, so it'll go into everything because it's so flavorful. But in our mild cigars, that's kind of where it's going to come from, the nice flavor. And then when you get into our medium to full-bodied selections, like the one you're smoking today or the Corojo I had sent you, filler binders are going to be very similar. We'll tweak the amount, the ratio in the filler blend to either keep it in the medium range or let it be full-bodied. But that uniqueness that you're probably tasting, especially in the Corojo and this one, would be that Pennsylvanian-grown binder. It's a broadleaf, but it almost has like a pipe tobacco-esque fragrance and aroma and flavor to it. And it's one of the, being a boutique shop, no, I haven't seen many other companies that are willing to put that as a binder leaf because it's a really expensive leaf to get. But we found that flavor-wise, as a binder for our medium to full-bodied stuff, it just takes off, and it makes it unique to Santiago because most places wouldn't be willing to put that kind of investment in a binder. Most places will use Dominican or a Honduran, and you'll get some good binder leaves out of them, but not consistently like the Pennsylvania's offered for us.
So you said you have 30 different blends? Yeah,
roughly any place between 30-35 blends at any point in time.
Wow. Who does your web work? Because they need it's not 30 blends on your website.
No.
That's called inventory control, Joe. Next question, right? If I'm digging too deep in business, just let me know. You know.
we've got a really cool young guy named Josh who takes care of our website, but because me and Dad have been so busy, as you can see, it's pretty limited as to what we do. That's part of this year's growth projection is let's get that website up to snuff, get e-commerce up to snuff, because we are offering a lot more than what's on the web at current.
Right. Take us to a couple of the other blends. So what would mimic the profile?
Okay, so for instance, one of the cigars that we do it in a Connecticut or Maduro. But what will set it apart from the other cigars in the humidor is we use a leaf of Mata Fina grown in Brazil, which gives it its own unique flavor. It will add body, but done in a flavorful way. One of the things Dad and I don't like is you won't be able to come in and find a harsh blend or a bitter blend. Like if you're into that kind of smoke, that's kind of not what we do. Mm-hmm. But if you're into getting the body of your cigar through a nice, thick, creamy smoke, that's what we'll do for you. So the Mata Fina does that for us in the Mata Fina blends. The Pennsylvania will do it in some of our other medium to full body blends. We have obviously we have a few of the San Fernandos left, which was that bale of tobacco we were talking about earlier, which that particular leaf gives your cigar almost like a floral finish. Reminiscent of the flavors reminiscent to the scent of like an older Italian lady's perfume, if that makes any sense.
Sure, yeah.
Like that very floral. So cigar is kind of set out unique on its own, and I don't have anything else in the humidor that's going to get you into that range flavor-wise.
Yep. So when they walk into your humidor, take us to a visual of your shop. I always ask this whenever someone comes in the studio and they've been to a plantation or they've been to a factory. I always ask for a visual. I think that from the email and feedback I get from the Stogie Geeks listeners. By the way, you can go to joeh@stogiegeeks.com and you can flash me an email. If you have any questions for Gary, you can hop on the Facebook page and John, the producer, will see if we have any questions. John, if you can keep an eye on that there too for me. Yep. And then, give us a visual of you walk into your shop. I saw some pictures on Facebook. It looks narrow, right? It looks narrow. Then you got the humidor, and you got some chairs set off to the side. I saw the rolling table. So you walk in, someone's rolling a cigar. Or a couple people are rolling cigars. What do you have on the shelf for inventory? I'm trying to get a visual of the shop.
When you walk into the humidor, the one side of the humidor is going to be all retail with a single box open with the cigars in it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, each cigar in the box will be that blend. When you walk to the back end of the humidor, you'll see some of our inventory, the backup inventory stock that we have will be rolled and sitting in boxes in the back waiting to go into the retail boxes. And then that would be on the right side. On the left side are just bins filled with different tobaccos, fillers, binders, wrappers. So when you walk into that humidor, because Jorgito's rolling all day, you get this very aromatic, it would be reminiscent of walking into any kind of factory down in the Dominican or Nicaragua or Honduras, because it's got that lively tobacco smell at all times, which kind of makes it the most popular room in the city, especially in Rochester, because it's 70 degrees, 70% humidity. So you'll see guys during the winter spend a couple extra minutes in the humidor without actually looking at cigars for first couple minutes, just to kind of warm up.
I've done that. Yeah, for sure. And then you have the lounge, and then I'm sure you have your regulars who go there and then have the lounge life. What are your hours that you open? I'm just are you open late night or?
No, not really. Our shop is right in downtown Rochester, but it's in more of the college-age crowd bar district. So initially when we were here, the first 3 months that we were open, I was here Thursday, Friday, Saturdays till 2:30 in the morning. And we noticed after 10 o'clock, the young guys weren't coming in to get cigars because they come down to this neighborhood for something totally different.
Yeah, girls.
So they don't even know you're here. Girls are drinking.
They want the girls in the booze. I mean, I left the cigar shop around 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then went and go for the tail. You know what I mean?
Yes. And you'll get some of that,
yep.
but you won't get the guys who are in the midst of trying to get the tail to come in.
Right.
And so for us, we're usually out of here by, I'm going to say, 9 to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday. Yeah. The summer's a little different because we do an outdoor cafe, and then we'll get a bunch of guys who come in to do, some girl watching and stuff like that, because the sites out on East Avenue here are not bad for...
Now, since you only sell your stuff, this question has to come up. Where is the nearest tobacconist near you that sells other products?
There is a place...
Geographically, 10, 20 minutes? Avenue. Is it 10 minutes, or is it a walk?
There will be one place that's about a 5-minute walk, but he was grandfathered in back in 2003 when New York State went smoke-free in the bars. Since he had his permit, he was still able to do both, but it's much more of a bar than a cigar lounge. The closest actual tobacconist is going to be at least a 10-minute ride from here.
Yep. So it's close enough. I mean, it's close enough to where, in economics, they call that absolute substitution. So in other words, a guy or gal wants to have a cigar on a Wednesday night, they got choices to go to. They can go to a conventional lounge, or they can put themselves in for a treat and have a unique experience, and then go to yours. So that is what I was trying to pry at. It's like because it's obviously a competitive market, and when you only offer the Santiago brands and blends, it makes it ultra competitive for you too. But it looks like you guys are doing well out there, so that's good.
Yeah, when we first opened up, we were seen more as competition for everybody locally. And me and Dad, when we started the business, the lounge was secondary for the guys who were going to buy the cigars. We're much more, our work is done much more towards manufacturing and coming up with the good blends and doing that kind of stuff. The lounge is just kind of an amenity that we offered for guys who wanted to come in and smoke. And it's kind of now starting to take on a life of its own where, we've got a very established clientele that comes in, looking to sit down and hang with us for an hour or two watching baseball or football or listening to music. There's always something kind of cool going on in the shop.
Yeah. When I had my shop, we only had a little TV and we had a lot of music, Too much TV, it rots your brain. It drives me crazy when I walk into a cigar shop and there's 4 or 5 TVs and everybody's just either texting on their phone and watching. It's like you guys even talk to each other, and don't watch the news because you don't talk politics, sex, or religion.
Not in the cigar shop.
I used to not just talk about politics and religion, but I had to include sex in there. People get all crazy, in
the current state of things, you got to watch it all now.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's awesome. I'm really happy that you only sell yours. You take a chance. You do that. Interesting business model. Fascinating business model. Obviously, there's tons of room to grow, which I think is fascinating from a business perspective, especially if you were able to get that e-commerce up and running a little bit more automated, so your consumer can get a better idea as to really how big you are. Because if you're offering 30 blends, that's believe me, that's the size of some small shops down here that have, say, 60 or 80 facings,
Yeah.
Now, how's the culture of New York to smoking? So
very tobacco unfriendly.
What isn't, right?
Well, for us, one of the things that kind of early on, another reason we decided to stay predominantly with our own cigars was the New York State has just to the state, a 75% excise tax on cigar tobacco or cigars. So we would never be able to rumble in the lower price scale with any of the big shops that are rolling in either Pennsylvania or down in the Caribbean, because we're 75% right off the top. That's on top of the 53% that the feds are going to get from you.
Mm-hmm.
So before I could sell a cigar, I'm at about 125% tax on it.
Sure. Yeah. Did you look at relocating, or are you just like we're in it for the long haul? Or
we moved all of our importing down into a small town in Pennsylvania called Hawley.
Okay.
Because Pennsylvania to the state is 0%. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, you're 75% down. And so anytime we distribute to any, just say you call me Gary, I want these candy canes. What we do is we roll the cigars once a month. I make a trip down to Pennsylvania to stock the shelves. Somebody gets some cigars out to you from there. Gives you the weight of 75% off the top. So it's one of those things. New York is very much not friendly to tobacconists or really any business, so to speak.
Yeah. Rhode Island and Boston the same way. I was actually on a conference call with a bigger cigar company for a interview of Stogie Geeks in the future, and the vice president of distribution jumps on the phone, and he says, Joseph, he says, can you take me, why are there cigars shops who carry their cigars along the border of Rhode Island and Connecticut, and they only have 3 in Mass? And I said, well, in Mass they have a 40% tax. They have a 40% tax of the retail value of the stick there, and in Rhode Island and Connecticut, that are bordering states, obviously, from there, it's currently at a 50-cent cap tax. So per stick, any stick over 62 cents in Rhode Island, so basically any premium tobacco stick. So any stick over 62 cents in the state of Rhode Island is taxed at 50 cents. Same thing with Connecticut. It's an individual, so anything is taxed at 50-cent cap, regardless of whether it's your Davidoff or your Ashton or your Drew Estate or something like that, Or even if it were one of yours, that came in to a shop, if you offered that service there, it would be capped at the 50 cents there. And he's like, well, that's interesting. He goes, is that going to change? I said, oh yeah, it's going to change. It says Rhode Island has it on the docket to put it up to 80 cents this year. And if it gets voted on, now that's interestingly provocative, because if you take an $8 cigar, right, that means that Rhode Island and Mass are going to be taxing almost the same. It comes out to like 80 cents, right? Because so with that being said, it would be a little bit more competitive for the Mass, but in general, specifically in the Boston metro, they gave cigar tobacconists who were there. In one case, they only gave them a 10-year license, and so that's how the liberals. Yeah, so that's how the liberals got around. They said, "Oh, well, we only gave them. They only have 8 more years left, and they're out of here by law, and they got to get out." And that's what happened. And then they did their business. They did their commerce for 10 years. And then they scooted, and they left the Boston metro, But if you go into the Boston metro, there's nothing, And then Massachusetts, and so he was like, oh, that's a good explanation. And he's like, how's the environment? I said, well, it's uncertain with the FDA, of course. It's all uncertain and stuff like that. But it's got to be regulated. I actually just went to a hearing last week on that, because that there was a movement. They want to tax other tobacco products as well, besides premium cigars, and for example, cigarettes or the vape. And in Rhode Island, I was actually shocked that the vape's been getting a free ride all this time. So they only pay sales tax, which is 7%, which is 7% in Rhode Island. So it's like interesting, and then I was like, well, that explains why vape has become popular. the Division of Taxation approaches it from a health issue. Vapors technically supposed to wean themselves off of cigarettes, and we're going to stop this discussion here. But it's very unfriendly, And then New York, there's a couple of vendors that I deal up with in Queensbury, New York, which is just outside of Lake George, and it's just I can't believe the tax with that 75%. I mean, a $9 stick down here is $12 to $12.50, $12.80, $13. It's crazy.
Well, look, for us, anybody who lives on the southern tier of New York, they just go down to Pennsylvania for all their tobacco products.
Sure.
Because it's so much cheaper. And now I'm not sure about Rhode Island. My mom's full-blooded Mohawk Indian.
Okay.
So technically, if I moved out to a reservation, I could manufacture cigars there without that New York State tax. But then I couldn't technically sell them to anybody non-native without getting that tax.
Sure.
But what happens is everybody drives onto the Indian reservations, gets their cigars, gets their cigarettes, and at a much cheaper price. Now, I did notice that the one main reservation where I've gone to get cigars before must have gotten a memo because nothing in there was cheap anymore. Not that they're paying taxes on it, but they know what people are paying for them. So, 50 cents less than where you could get it off the reservation. But that's still enough for people who are going up there to get 4 cartons of cigarettes. If they know someone who smokes a cigar, it is less.
Yeah.
So they'll grab it there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then the online component comes in, and it's so important. And this is, I guess, one of my messages to you. Even though you've been running your business, online is going to be so important in the future for your business, and getting your message out there and getting your product into the hands of consumers who want them. Online is so key. I mean, 60% of cigar consumers here in the United States purchase tobacco products online. And that number, if we were to take a 10-year or a 5-year, that number is just going to go up and up. And the brick and mortar places are going to have to really fight to be competitive. And I'm not talking about if they go to like a big discount like a CI or JR. Because some of those prices, I look at it, I'm like, how are they even, playing in that,
I have no idea how somebody could make any money on selling a bundle of 25 cigars for $40, but somehow they're pulling it off.
Somehow, I mean, it is margin. I get it, but it's ultra low. But I think if you get that e-commerce site up and running, I think you yourself as a business owner are going to be pleasantly surprised with the consumer's reaction to like I said, there truly is a demand for the cigar smoker to chase rare to find opportunities. And when I found out about your business model, I was like, well, this is definitely a hidden gem for sure. You make me want to jump in the car and drive to Rochester.
Well, hopefully by this summer you won't have to. Although if you wanted to see the roller, you'd have to come up to town.
Yeah, I actually, when I did my first live broadcast, I actually had a cigar roller. There was one here in Rhode Island who used to roll for Cigar Masters up in Boston, that's the company that I talked to you about, the 10-year lease and whatnot. And then when he was looking for work, and we did a live broadcast with a cigar roller, and people thoroughly and enjoyed it. Even if they don't smoke, they were like fascinated by it. And this is something I'm assuming that happens in your shop day in and day out. The roller shows up every day and does his work.
Yeah, and there's people who will walk by the front window who are definitely not cigar smokers who maybe won't come inside because they know it smells like cigar, but they'll sit outside for 4 or 5 minutes watching him just do his craft.
Right. He's on Instagram and Snapchat or whatever, all the latest
He's
gizmos.
on all of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome stuff. What are other than taxes, FDA, owning a business, what are some of the other challenges that you guys face with business?
Oh, well, one of the things that we're finding, for instance, last year, the event business was robust, but limited to as far as I can drive, which I've gone as far south as Quantico, Virginia. I've been up to Burlington, Vermont rolling, because if you ever go through the Magic Cat Brewery in Burlington, when you get to the register, there's a humidor with cigars there. We've actually infused those cigars for them, so I've been up there for some of their beer fests just to get the product out there. And I've gone as far as Akron, Ohio, going west. So, you're just limited as to how far you can actually travel with a roller and product.
Sure.
So that would be the biggest thing is, and thus the starting of the e-commerce site is getting that name out there without me being behind a bench shouting it. That's been the main focus for the end of last year and for this year, is to kind of start, like you said, using the internet to do what it does, and that's get to billions of people instantly. Some guys who want a cigar don't want to have to call you and order it. They just want to go online, use their little mouse cursor, click a button, and they've got cigars coming.
Yeah. That I can see that. But those are all growing pains. You'll get there. I mean, it sounds like you're comfortable enough to, you got enough workflow. You certainly got enough workflow. You got enough events going on. I'm very intrigued at the banding services. Take us through that. You've done that since day one, offering.
Yes.
Yeah. I figured that.
Yeah, that was just something, when you're, for instance, we do certain golf tournaments every year, and they want it to be special for the people who are there. So we tell them, just, we can put anything you want on a cigar band that makes it yours. The cigars obviously will be ours, but the product becomes yours. And it's just one of those things where some people like it to get their business name out. Some people like it because it has their name on it. But either way, we don't, it doesn't matter to us why you want the band on the cigar. It's that we want to get you what you're looking for in that band, so that the cigar presentation is where you want it to be. If you've got to give it to a client, or you're giving it to a couple of your workers for a Christmas gift, it's kind of cool if your XYZ company, you give them a cigar with your name on it. It makes it special for you, makes it special for them. So that was kind of our goal on that, was to be able to offer a service that not everyone could do, and do it in an affordable way. For us to do a band on your cigars for you, it's a one-time setup fee for the die that they'll use to make that band, and the price of cigars. And then after that, every subsequent order after that, it's just the price of cigars. You call us, tell us I need 25 cigars with my band, and it costs you 25 cigars, as opposed to having to spend $2,000 to have somebody make a custom cigar band, which is, very few people could afford that as an amenity for their business. So it was one of those things where we wanted to be, our number one goal in business has always been to be proactive. We want to, when I hear of a new tobacco down on the island, when there's rumors, they'll send me a pound of it. I'll give it to my rollers, and if my rollers can make it taste good, it'll stay. If my rollers can't make that leaf taste good, then I have full confidence in them that it's just not going to taste good. But being able to be proactive means that I don't have to wait for a different cigar company to develop a cigar, let it sit for a year and a half, and then let it hit the shores. When we get to tobacco, when we roll the cigars, if you're there the day we get it in, you're getting that tobacco before anybody else does, because I don't have time really to let cigars sit and marinate, because they just leave the shelves almost as soon as we roll them.
Yeah, awesome. Technical standpoint, when they roll them, right? Now, I've been to some rolling events by some of the big corporations, like maybe 8 years ago, Alec Bradley did a thing where they would send a roller and do that. I know Drew did one, etc. I was told that if you roll it, you have 24 hours to smoke it, or it has to sit for 31 days. What's the case with yours?
We usually will recommend that from the date of rolling to about a week out, you'll get a really intense, flavorful cigar. And then after that first week, going out for about another 3 weeks, they'll start to have some changes in them. Sometimes it's not something that's non-palatable, but sometimes it just will put a funky little
ammonia-esque type. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you give it another 3 weeks, it'll kind of mellow right out.
Yep. I remember when I was at a cigar shop, I used to work at about 17, 18 months ago, I used to work at a retail cigar shop and whatnot. And how I ended up getting the job was the owner had got the latest and greatest, the latest and greatest boutique. And, when the new batch came in, I lit it up, and I went to the owner privately, and I said, these sticks ain't ready. And he's looking at me. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, these are less than a month old, guaranteed. I had an ammonia taste. He's like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, I'm telling you. And I told him about, 24 hours, and it rolled. And he's like, I'm like, I'm telling you. I'm like, you need to let these rest, or your clients are your client. And he pulled them. He pulled them right off. And, and it's one of those cigar, it fell off the map. They're nowhere to be found anymore.
Yeah.
It was a box press. I'm not giving the name, even though I'm gonna get tons of emails. What's the name? What's the name? What's the name? And then he's like, yo, you seem to know about this stuff. I said, well, sometimes they roll them and they play the shipping game. Oh, they're gonna be in a warehouse for 3 weeks, or they're gonna be, but they literally probably went factory to the shop because they was just in such hot demand. So I was wondering how your workaround was. So you let them sit accordingly in your shop, and then you ship them, and then they're ready.
Yeah. Like, for instance, the one you're smoking today, that you probably get another maybe 2 to 3 days on that cigar before you're going to want to let it sit for a little while. But what we find with the fresh cigars is you might not know what the different tobaccos are in that cigar, but you'll have 2 or 3 definite different flavors in that cigar that make it interesting, where if I let that sit for 2 months, it now takes on a more homogenized, singular flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Star Power. Who have you rolled for who has enjoyed your blends?
Okay, so there would be...
Let's do it. Besides me, right?
Besides you, all of the Buffalo Bills Hall of Famers have had the cigars and enjoyed them. They put 200,000 people through the PGA that enjoyed them, plus some of the golfers. I've got a couple of friends in Nashville who tour nationally with Randy Hauser, who are cigar guys, and we're kind of, when they want a boutique cigar, they call me and I ship them to wherever they're in St. Coulis or they're in Wyoming. We'll ship them wherever they go. We had former Mayor Giuliani in the shop a couple years ago. Enjoyed the cigars. I forget how many he took to go with them. He liked them so much.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. Over the course of 9 years, I know I'm forgetting guys, and if they hear this, they're going to be angry because
you knew I was going to ask the question, right? You knew I was going to ask it.
I know. I guess, one that would be a little bit different and was an interesting, just because I met him, was John Randall, the Hall of Fame D tackle from Minnesota. Met him at Andre Reed's Hall of Fame. He liked it. He was an asylum smoker, but he really liked the cigar. But he looked like if you put a helmet and shoulder pads on him, he'd get to a quarterback.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So, like I said, I wish you guys much success. Tell your dad I said hi. I will respond. He flashed me an email last week. I'll get to him later on this week on something different. But yeah. I just tell him I was asking for him, and when he feels better, have him come back on the show for sure. We'll have to reset up something.
Well, if you guys want to do another in-house live rolling, I certainly Rhode Island's within my my scope of travel where I could bring me and the roller out for a sit down, maybe get Dad out there for a sit down interview if that's something you guys be interested in down the road.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to do to make it worth your while is I'd like to do an event and stick you in a shop for sure. I have a couple shop owners who watch the show. I try to get them to play it live in the shop instead of watching Fox News, but I guess whatever's on Fox News is way more important than what I have to say here on Stogie Geeks. I won't take that personally, I guess. Right?
You wouldn't find Fox News on in my shop. So.
I'm like, turn that stuff off, please. I go to the shop.
Not a baseball game.
Yeah, I watch the baseball. If there's a sporting event, sure. It was Saturday afternoon. I actually turned on Gunsmoke, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is way better than Fox News. We're gonna watch this."
Yeah.
And it was funny because people started leaving the other TV that had and everybody was coming on to our section, and they were talking about, I haven't seen an episode like they were sitting down and watching a full episode. Right, and I'm like, listen, this is now you're talking about. Now they're talking about when they used to watch it with their uncle or father or grandfather, and I'm like, see, isn't it? This is what you should do. You put on like me TV, you get the and that's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah. So what I would like to do is coordinate an event. All right, and then I'll put it. We can put it in a cigar shop. We can film it here on Stogie Geeks. Then maybe afterwards, go to the cigar shop so you'd be able to do an intro to some of the guys. We'll do an event or something like that. It'd be cool. It'd be very cool if we can put that together for sure.
Yeah, we'd definitely be interested. We have cigar rollers and we'll travel. So.
well, Rochester. That's what 11 hours car drive maybe.
I can be to Boston in about 6.5, 7.
All right, so 8 hours.
I'm not sure how far Warwick puts you past that, but
yeah, we're 45 minutes outside of Boston. No traffic.
Okay, yes, probably 8 hours.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, that's good. Yeah, we should try to put that together for sure in the future. I'll talk to you offline on that. Future Santiago Cigars. What can we expect? 33 blends and online. All right, Joe, gotta go.
As the summer starts kicking off for us, we do the bulk of our blending and our new blends, spring and summer, to have them introduced by the fall and winter. So you could always be looking out. We'll probably put another 3 to 5 blends on the shelves, maybe pull one for now, let it sit for a couple years, and revisit it down the line. But you could certainly keep the eyes out for some new blends because we'll have, like I said, 3 to 5 of them by the end of the summer.
Provocative question. Here we go. Do you have any blends that have Nicaraguan anything in them?
Almost all of our cigars will have at least a leaf of Nicaraguan filler in it.
Okay.
For the flavor. And as we get into the stronger blended cigars, we'll put more of it in there so it can get the body up there as well. But almost everything, with the exception of maybe the House Connecticut, will have some Nicaraguan. And I think that's even got a blade of it in there for flavor.
Because my rebuttal to that, if you said no, I was going to say you might want to do some research and look into that because Nicaraguan, as you know, and whatnot, is just putting a big dent into the market share. A lot of the consumers are really flocking to some of the Nicaraguan blends, and
actually,
that's what I think's been part of the boutique revolution's success is the Nicaraguan blends. And then people say, well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I say, listen, you have a company like Romeo and Julieta who has been known for their cigars, or Avo, who has been known for their cigars. And when they start dabbling with some of the Nicaraguan blends, when the classic facings are starting to pay attention to some of the methodology and some of the crop growth of the boutiques, it means that they're onto something for sure. Yeah,
in our humidor, I only do one Puro. Everything else will be a blend, but we do actually 2 Nicaraguan Puros because there's just a demand for the Nicaraguans.
Yeah.
So we developed them very much my father-esque.
Awesome. Awesome.
flavor, body-wise.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thanks for having us.
I'll talk to you offline. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it,
All
bro.
right. Yep. When we come back, we have the Sticks of the Week here on Stogie Geeks. We'll take a quick break.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is the Stogies of the Week segment, which is coming after the interview. But I'm glad to be here. I'm here now, and we're going to smoke something special and drink something special and talk about maybe some even special cigars or maybe some not so special cigars. That's how the Stogies of the Week go. Some are special, some aren't, and we've got a whole rating system around them. So I am smoking the daintiest, prettiest, ugliest little cigar that I've seen in some time. They actually tout this as a cigarillo. But what's weird, and I've never seen this particular shape, maybe a Por Larrañaga, was it Por Larrañaga that made it Cuban? Monte Cristo was the size? Larrañaga Monte something? I'll find that while we're talking. Probably only one other cigar we've ever reviewed on the show, Joe, was even close to this shape and size. And this is the Kentucky Fire Cured from Drew Estate, of course. And this is the Coyotos, which is the cigarillo, which is 5.5 by 34. That's what I love about the show, Joe. We get to do different things and smoke. This is not something I would normally pick up.
No, this is very dainty.
It is, but it's long and dainty. Normally, let me take a puff. Normally, the cigarillo is short and dainty. This is long and dainty.
There you go.
But it's kind of it smokes more like a cigar than a cigarillo.
Yes, it smokes better than
your typical cigarillo.
Well,
because I think cigarillos, when they're shorter, tend to burn hotter and this burns a lot slower. And since it's longer, the heat from the smoke isn't an issue, as it is sometimes with cigarillos. Also, I think a lot of times cigarillos might even be short filler because they burn so fast.
Yeah.
This is definitely not short. This is definitely long filler.
Yeah. It's tasty.
It is. It doesn't taste like it smells.
No,
Thank God.
Out of the wrapper.
That Kentucky Fire Cured is like pungent, whatever. I don't like campfire smell, but it doesn't taste like campfire.
Nope.
Which is nice, because nobody likes to taste campfire.
Nope.
Well, I guess some people do. If you like that mesquite flavoring in your mesquite barbecue or smoked meat, like from the smoker, I guess how else would you get smoked meat if it wasn't a smoker?
I got you.
Help me out here, Joe. I'm dying over here. I'm dying over here.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this stick. So when you ask me,
I did. I just handed it to you like moments before we started. It's very dainty. It's very good though.
It feels light, like it's like on your. It just feels like you.
It feels like like when you saw movies or pictures or paintings from the 30s, photographs. If they had those back then, they would have the long, like filter thing that they would put the cigarette in.
Yes,
that's what I feel like I'm smoking. Like I feel like I'm in the 20s and 30s.
It's very tasty though. When you in the cellophane, it has a very pungent odor. You're like, I don't know, and then once you light it up and get it going, it's a good stick. It has its purpose. I mean,
I feel like we should be at a speakeasy
with like Western things in the background. The brothel upstairs,
bathtub gin.
Yeah, you know.
You have the spittoon.
Welcome to Stogie Geeks.
I do have a special cocktail for this segment, though.
Yes.
I made Bloody Marys yesterday, and we have a lot of it left over, actually. There's actually a good amount of vodka in here, too, and about 15 other ingredients.
15 ingredients and a Bloody Mary with a Kentucky Fire Cured cigarillo.
This is the pairing that I've been wanting to do for some time. Well, maybe not with this size. Because the jury's still out. I was like, look at how ridiculous that looks when I hold it. It's just ridiculous. I went a little off the deep end with the size. But the blend, so far, having sipped my Bloody Mary, hold on. I think it was Will that actually made the suggestion that Kentucky Fire Cured with your Bloody Mary is a win. And I do use a lot of the chipotle seasoning and spice and hot sauce, chipotle hot sauce, one of my secret, now not so secret, ingredients in my Bloody Mary. is Cholulu Chipotle flavored hot sauce.
Mm.
Has that like mesquite, well, it's Chipotle, but it tastes to me like a mesquite kind of flavoring. As is the seasoning that I use is like a Texas Chipotle seasoning, which has very much that same mesquite kind of smokiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to put some of that. Some people go over the top. This is a place in Rhode Island near South County Hospital down there, that popular bar. What is it called? I forget what it's called. Anyway, theirs is like totally like smoky.
Oh,
like
the Bloody Mary? Yeah.
I like a little bit of smokiness.
Now, you have 15 ingredients in that. Did you put all 15, or did you count them when you were done and figured out there was 15?
My son was helping me count them when I was done.
Dad, put this in. Put this in.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the mixologist. No, I was. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. No, it's celery salt, black pepper, chipotle seasoning, Tabasco sauce. What is the Asian hot sauce thing? What's it called?
Wasabi?
The rooster on it. No. I use Worcestershire.
Okay.
The Chipotle Cholulu.
Oh, the Asian hot sauce with the rooster. I know.
Yes, the Asian hot sauce with the rooster. But I can't. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Horseradish, lemon, lime. What else? What else do I put in it, Joe?
6 other ones.
Olive juice.
There you go.
Pickle juice. I think we're up to 12 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Sriracha.
Sriracha was the
rooster
one. Yes, thank you. Sorry, sriracha. Tomato juice, and I use regular V8 tomato juice. This one I use 2 different kinds of vodka because I ran out of one. But normally I'll use just a bacon-infused vodka, which I'm kind of on the fence about because it gives it too much of a smoky kind of flavor to it. So what is it? That's like 14?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 14 or 15. I'm missing an ingredient or 2. It'll come to me what it is. I said Worcestershire, right?
Yes. It's very good.
Texas Chipotle seasoning, did I say that? That's separate from the celery salt. I don't use salt. I use pepper, celery salt, and Texas Chipotle seasoning. Because if you add salt on top of that, it gets too salty. Those are the basics. I know there's no real... Mark Jr., former member of the Stogie Geeks show, former host, used to say, for as much vodka as you use, that's as much tomato juice. I'm like, I don't know about the 50-50. That's a bit too strong for me. He likes them that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's up to you as to the ratio of vodka. I tend to do like 25 to 30% vodka to tomato juice ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget how many cups I did, but I don't do quite half. I do about 1/3 vodka and 2/3 tomato juice is what I'll do.
Well, the mesquite from the cigarello and the Bloody Mary is a good pairing. I bet you.
Yeah, I think this is one of
size would probably kick it up a little bit better.
Yeah,
because there's not a bunch of smoke component coming from it.
Yeah,
you know?
This is very different.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna hopefully tear into the Robusto probably pretty soon because I don't know how much more of this I can take because it's just so strange and dainty.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm getting a full mouthful of smoke.
Right.
Either.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna finish it for sure.
You want to try lighting up the Robusto?
Yeah, I think.
If that gives us a little more.
I think more of our.
I don't feel like I'm smoking a cigar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think more of our speed in regards to the smoke content to ratio from that would be a bit more pleasing if we were.
So now everyone has my Bloody Mary recipe.
Well, speaking of your recipes, I bought the maraschino cherries and 2 different bitters.
Yes.
And I've been playing around with some old fashions, and I can't get it right.
Now,
I've used the orange.
Speaking of old fashions, you can use bourbon in your Bloody Mary.
No, Oh yeah,
you can use whatever. I mean, you can use. I've used gin, vodka. Doesn't really matter.
Next door, we do mezcal.
A what?
Mezcal.
What is that?
The tequila. The mezcal. Tequila.
Okay.
It's actually called a Bloody Maria.
Interesting.
In the Mexican restaurants, but you know.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that working because you really don't taste the. All you taste is the horseradish. Mostly, it's horseradish and tomato juice.
Mm.
The vodka or whatever you're putting in is just there to kind of cut that. So it's hard to find a cigar to pair with a Bloody Mary.
Now, what's this? The what we're doing now, the short Robusto?
Yes.
Yep.
It's the short Robusto or the Robusto?
Oh. I'm eyeballing it here.
It's the chunky 4x46. That's we're gonna light this one up now too, because we both kind of we'll finish that later. That's like I'll finish that on my drive home.
Yeah, I'll finish it for sure. Yeah, see, even just off the bat, you're gonna get more of the. Here we go.
Yeah, that tastes different. I get more flavors on the retrohale with this one.
Yeah, you just get more smoke coming right in.
Yeah, see, that pairs even better. I think that cigarillo wasn't keeping up flavor-wise with the Bloody Mary.
Yep. And you know what it is, too, with this? You can really pick up the salty component of this shorter Robusto than that little cigarillo.
Yeah, this is much better.
Yep.
Now I feel like I'm having a cigar. Now
we got it.
Now we can start the Stogie Geek show. Okay. Over to you, Joe, first. So I gave the Bloody Mary recipe, Kentucky Fire Cured. This is the chunky 4x46? Yeah, 4x46. These apparently come in packs of 10. They're on sale right now for $40, apparently. That's a pretty good price. So, Joe, what do you got for your Stogies of the Week?
I had the Viaje White Label Project.
Now, which one? There was like 18 of those.
I knew you were going to ask me that, so I did my homework. They've come up with different projects. Some of them were included in the White Label project, like the Ghost Pepper. They have a 2017, which is the one I had. I took a picture of it, put it on StogieGeeks.com. It's in the Stogies section. You can comment there as well, or you can just throw a comment on our Facebook on that.
I think comments are still enabled. I'm going to switch to a different commenting system, but
they're not enabled. Or
they are. They are.
Yeah.
They're just. It's a. The Stogie Geek site's undergoing a little bit of change, some updating, sprucing up, cleaning up the place a little bit. So I think I want to enable Facebook and Twitter comments. That's an option.
That'd be probably easier.
That's what I'm thinking.
Especially for the user.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. This Viaje White Label Project, the format of this particular stick was a Bellicoso. It's a 6x52. Your wrapper is a Mexican San Andreas Maduro. Binder and filler is Nicaraguan. Complexity, I gave it on a scale of 1 to 10. I gave it an 8. Flavor, I gave it an 8. Balance, I gave it a 7. It's, I don't know. When I've started with some of the Viajes, some of them I really, really dig. Some of them, I think that they need a little bit of rest. And then I get into them. When I first had this, I had it when it first came out. And then I revisited it. And when I revisited it, I think it's ready now. So it's been a good 6 months that it's been on within my humidor. And I gave it a box worthy. Total leather component. Awesome. I love at the end of either Tatuaje or Viajes. Obviously, I'm a fan of both brands. I mention them pretty frequently here on the Stogie Geek Show. I love the pepper component with the leather component. But with this White Label Project, you do get a full body aspect of it. Totally enjoyed it. I gave it a box worthy.
Sweet. I think you're a big fan of these, Joe. The EP Carrillo Dusk.
Yes, I am.
So this is, it says wrapper United States.
Yes.
Is that Pennsylvania?
I believe so. We asked Ernesto that question a couple episodes back.
I forgot what state.
But yeah, it's
you covered a lot of ground with.
Yeah, I know. And I spoke to them about dusk, and when I first look at them, I'm like, is this supposed to be smoked at dusk? And he's you smoke it whenever you want, But I don't know. It's been. Probably in July and August, the EP Carrillo Dusk, for me, has been a good morning go-to smoke.
You know what? I got that sense that it was a lot of body in the cigar, a lot of flavor, and I expected it from looking at the wrapper and seeing the packaging and the band. I expected it to be strong.
Yeah.
And when I smoked it, I was like, oh, no, now I see where Joe's going. Like, this could totally be a morning cigar.
Yeah.
So the binder is Ecuadorian, the filler is Nicaraguan. I smoked what I believe to be the Stout Toro at 6x52. Looks like what I have a picture of. Again, this is something that is highly versatile, has really good flavor. I'm still finding, I think, which size that I like the best. I've smoked maybe a Robusto like way back in the day, but I thought it was too early on. Thought it needed some rest. Now these have been resting in my humidor for quite some time. This one went down easy. Again, it had that nice kind of rich flavor without all of the strength and spice and pepper associated with it. It was very smooth. I would call this box split so far. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm still working on my size and working my way through the line, but first impression after smoking one, I would say this is a box split and a very nice offering from EP Carrillo.
Yeah, I gave it a box split as well within my ratings. I toggled between the Robusto and Toro. I really liked the Toro, the way it burned. The Robusto had all the subtle flavors packed in. It was good, but the Toro, to me, it started off a little bit strong, and then it mellows right out, and it was good.
I tell you what's a little spicy is Bloody Mary.
Mm.
Woo! It's that Asian hot sauce with the rooster that we call sriracha.
I was going through my Rolodex. Right?
Dude, I couldn't think of it. I'm like, the Asian one with the rooster.
I had my last Elugio LSV.
Elugio?
Elugio, yeah. Elogio?
Elogio.
Oh, yeah. Elogio. Oh, Paul's back on the show. Well, if I was doing this, it would have been called the Elugio, but it's Elogio.
Joe's new cigar line is Elugio.
What is it?
It's just an illusion.
It's
of O. It's an Elugio.
How do you pronounce it again?
It's like the illusion of O. The illusion of an orgasm is just Elugio.
They have the LSV
Elogio.
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 I had the LSV. I had the HSV, but
HSV.
Yeah, they have two different ones.
Is it HSV?
HSV. It's a little more. I don't know. To me, it was a lighter wrapper.
Is that what you call it? I thought
almost like a reddish hue.
Yeah, keep going.
The LSV is what I like. I had the size 6x42. It's a Corona Extra. You have a Nicaraguan binder, filler, and wrapper. Complexity, I gave it an 8. From flavor, I gave it an 8. Balance, I gave it a 9. I thoroughly enjoyed these sticks. It's available in 5 different sizes. I've had them all. I don't know what happened to this brand here in the Northeast.
It doesn't do well in the Northeast.
Cannot get them anywhere.
They had them next door, and they didn't sell. I was the only one buying them.
Sure. I was the only one buying. Is it the HSV? It is the
Siri Habano. It's their Habano.
Yep.
So Habano and LSV.
LSV. Okay. Yeah. So the Habano.
Which one did you like better?
LSV.
Okay.
That's the one.
I tend to go. I don't know. I go back and forth. I like the Habano too.
I do, but...
is there a box of Habano in there?
You have a couple in there. I don't know.
That's the Habano in there, the Robusto Habano. I have a box of those in there. I smoked one of those the other day. Mm-hmm. I really liked it. I thought it was really... after it rested in my humidor, I was like, this is awesome. Mm. The issue that I have, I think, with Elogio, and it could be some of the issues I have there in the Northeast, is the construction tends to be... And I'm not just talking Paul syndrome here. The other people, too. The construction... tends to be, I think, erring on a little higher of you having a construction issue with it. Mm-hmm. I hate to say that about a manufacturer, especially one that I love so much as Elogio, and I would recommend. I just think in general, I've found in others that I talk to next door when I get the feedback of why, I'm like, gosh, why isn't this doing well, was construction.
Think it's too delicate?
I'm not sure if it was the draw or I believe it was mostly the draw. So the wrapper is a very delicate wrapper.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's not a portable cigar. Like I wouldn't take it golfing, fishing.
I think it's one you want to enjoy in a cigar lounge or in a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yep.
That could be part of the problem too. Maybe people were taking them out into the great outdoors, as it were. And the wrapper it's almost like a Cameroon. In that respect, not flavor-wise, but in that the
delicacy.
Delicacy. Is it? You're not eating it; you're smoking it. But anyway,
I gave it a box worthy. I mean, I've definitely blown through a box of these for sure. Good smokes, The Elohio
Elohio.
LSV. What about you? What have you been smoking?
What did you call it? The Elogio?
Elogio.
Elogio.
No, that's what you called it.
Yeah.
So I called it.
I don't even. Now I can't even say what you called it.
Whatever it is, it was mispronounced, and I know I'm gonna smash my other one.
I can't wait. I can't with the anticipation. Killing me. Killing me.
This was one of those cigars when I was typing
Killing me,
it.
Joe.
When I was typing it, I was like, oh yeah, I really hope Paul's going to be on this episode because I don't think I can pronounce this one.
So I lit up one, and I won't say who it is because it's just not fair. But I lit up one, and the production guys were here in the studio, and I lit it up, and I was like, oh my God, this is so terrible. Oh my God. I couldn't smell. I'm like, is it me? Or did it get mold? Apparently, it was just tasted really bad. Because I actually gave it to the guy. I'm like, take a puff, take a whiff. Like, let that smoke go up your nose. They're like, oh, God, it's just horrible. I don't know what was wrong with that cigar. Formaldehyde. But it wasn't ammonia. It was just bad smelling. Anyway. So after that, I put that down. I reached for this one. I have no idea what it is, but you gave it to me with the barber pole wrapper.
Oh, God.
And you were like, smoke this.
Why are you putting me on the spot?
So I smoked it, and now I'm reviewing it on the show as like a blind review. Our first blind review, which may be a truly blind review, even blind for our listeners and viewers, if Joe can't remember what it is.
No, I'm trying to think.
You were all excited. You handed it to me. You're like, you got to smoke this one.
The morning one? Oh, I know what I know what that is. No, I'm looking at, all right, I'm looking at spots. This is Paul. We talk about cigars daily now.
Yes, we do. And I smoked this one day after you gave it to me.
This wasn't the formaldehyde one.
No.
Okay.
I lit up this after, and when I lit up, I was like, oh, it's so much better.
Okay, why don't you talk about it, and then I'll give the name.
I was smoking it just like this, too. Just like this, just smoking it. And it was good. I was like, this is a good cigar. It was good. I don't really remember much else about it other than it was very enjoyable. It was a smooth smoke.
Yep.
Had some transitions, maybe some caramel notes.
Yep.
I just remember it being a pretty good smoke.
Yep. Caramel notes, sweetness. You probably smoked that down to the nub. Look at the cap on that. The cap is amazing.
It's an amazing cap.
It's an amazing cap.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing cap. I gave Paul the 5x50 Candy Cane by Santiago Cigars.
Okay.
Which, if you're just tuning in, we just did an interview with Santiago Cigars.
Oh, that was them.
That was them.
Oh, well,
I know.
Tell them their cigar was pretty good.
Yeah, that was the one where when we found out about the business model, they're a cigar shop.
That's not this one. This is from them too.
That's them.
This is pretty unique.
That's theirs too.
That's
only aesthetics from the roller there, and it's got a barber pole strip that's in there. It's actually two different leaves. The other one's from Connecticut.
Obviously, you'd clip that off.
Yep. It's just there for.
Don't put that in your mouth.
It's just there for aesthetics. I actually just had that one during the interview.
Was good too.
Yeah, that one was ranked a little more full, but it's full in their spectrum. But it's
well. What did you call this one that I smoked? The barber pole.
Candy cane.
The candy cane.
They call it the candy cane.
I'd give it a 5. It's a solid 5 in my opinion. I would smoke it again.
I'd probably do a box split with a friend. Preferably Paul Azzadorian being my friend.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Not this one, though, because this next picture is the one I'm not talking about.
Oh.
It was just terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I shy away from some of that stuff.
I don't blame you.
Do you want to do the one I can pronounce or the one I can't first?
Oh, let's do the one you can't, please.
Can't?
I can't wait.
Archetype.
Yep, that's
Access
correct.
Monday by Ventura Cigars.
Yep.
Archetype?
Archetype.
That's the name of it?
Archetype.
Yeah. All right. I had the Access Monday by Ventura Cigars. Format I had was a Robusto. It's a 5x54. You have a Ecuadorian Habano Maduro wrapper. Binder is an Indonesian Sumatra. Filler is a Nicaraguan Habano. Complexity, flavor, and balance. I gave it an 8. It's available in 4 different sizes. Had this. It was gifted to me by a friend, and he was like, let me know what you think about it. And let me tell you something. I don't know how it does, within the shops. I did hear.
I see it in the shops
feedback.
more and more now. I know Janet's got it in her shop. Yep. Doyle's has it in their shop now. Yep. I think I saw
the distributors, Phillips and King.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in more and more. The price point I could probably do without. It's a little on the higher side for.
They are priced a little higher, and I remember trying to give this a review, and the construction in the batch I had was not good. So I haven't reviewed any of them. And I'm going to go back and smoke them again and give them a fair assessment.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, as far as an assessment of the stick, old tobacco sweetness, it's mixed very well.
Old tobacco sweetness.
Yeah, like old fat, like when. Do you know what I mean by when I say old-fashioned?
No, I have no idea.
Well, the Stogie Geeks listeners do. When they email me at joeh@stogiegeeks.com, they say, nice reviews, Joe. Keep up the good work, just so you know. Right. Right? Yeah. And they do. I can forward it to you.
Nice reviews, Joe. Keep up the great work. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, right. And I gave this a box split because I really enjoyed.
That's a nice review, Joe. Keep up the great work.
Thanks. I really enjoyed the stick.
Box split
for sure. It's a good stick.
What is old? I know what you mean. There's traditional cigar flavors that we tend to associate with cigars that were produced 20 years ago or more.
Yeah.
I don't know what changed in the past 20 years. I think it's the amount of tobacco and the number of different options that blenders have that have really changed the profile of like 80% of the cigars we smoke today that just have a completely different. I mean, look at what we're smoking now, like a Kentucky Friar. Like this was not on the table 20 years ago. It is now. But there are some. Ashton, I find, has that more traditional. I smoked an Elegancia that I had bought a box when they first came out. It's still just an okay cigar. Like it's still maybe a $5, maybe a box split. It does age pretty well. It actually wasn't aged out, so it's a milder Connecticut, but it's got some toothiness to it. It smokes good now, but still, it's not like a wow me Connecticut. I would still put it in the $5, even though it probably has, 5+ years or in my humidor, and I've smoked them fairly regularly. People I've given them to are like, yeah, it's just okay. It's still a $5. And I don't know. I smoked one of the original ones that came out, and it does have that traditional Connecticut kind of sweetness. Nothing to write home about. Still a $5. Not a bad option if you're looking for one of those more traditional, I would call it, Connecticut.
I think when you say tobacco sweetness, I think with the Nicaraguan kind of pushing into the market share and a lot of consumers flocking to the Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
When it's a non-Nicaraguan, when I mean like wrapper, binder, filler, all Nicaraguan. When it's a non-Nicaraguan, we tend to say, oh, it's old school flavor.
Yeah, like most of the cigars came from Dominican.
Because most of the, so it's like it's got that old school sweetness to it. I guess that's how I describe it. Because with some of the Nicaraguan stuff, when you first light it up, you get that blast of pepper. I like that pepper for the profile, but every once in a while, if it's in the morning and I'm doing some work and whatnot, I like that old school flavor.
You're old school, Joe.
There you go.
What else you got, old school Joe?
Oh, you want me to keep going? All right.
I do.
I had the Crux Guild. Had it in a bunch of different sizes. Let me get to my notes over here. Crux Guild's available in 5 different sizes. I did have all of the different sizes there. I listed them on StogieGeeks.com under the Stogie section. The Robusto Extra is a 5 1/4 by 54. You have a Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. Binder and filler is Nicaraguan. Complexity, I gave it a 7. Flavor and balance, I gave it an 8. I gave this a box split. Towards the end of this cigar, like the flavors coming in great, everything's good. Towards the end, when you get to the end of the cigar and you're supposed to get to that thicker sweetness or thicker component of whatever the cigar is supposed to be, like a thicker leather.
Go with it. Go ahead.
No, I've been thoroughly in smoking cigars slower, and
thoroughly smoking them slower.
Yeah, like taking taking the time out.
Smoking them thoroughly, but slower.
Yes. Did I?
I need to splash down in my chair like you. Hold on. Okay. No, now I get you. Now I got you.
Now you're on my level.
Sit like this, yeah.
I gave it a box split because when I was thoroughly smoking it slower. When I was thoroughly smoking it slower.
Thoroughly.
It just kind of faded. That's it. Faded. Wanted more. Didn't leave me with more. Gave it a box split.
So should we smoke it thoroughly or slowly or thoroughly slowly?
You do whatever you want, sir.
Oh, you're just saying what you were doing.
That's how I would do it. I mean, I had the crux killed. I liked it. I gave it a box split, and there you go.
Oh, God.
You'd be shocked I gave it a box anything. This is the second episode in a row that I had either a box with you or a box split.
Box nothing.
You know?
Box your mama. Nobody gets a box rating. Split, full, nothing.
You know? We're good. Did you ever have one?
A box?
A crux killed.
No, I've not had a crux killed.
Why not?
I don't know. I need to smoke more.
Smoke more cigars?
Yeah. Smoke more cigars and more diversified set.
You like what you like.
I know. I need to mix it up.
Every once in a while I say, oh, I'm going to try this new, and I'm like, oh.
I know.
It's totally not my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and the worst is when it's not in your wheelhouse and you're like, okay, I should review this. It'd be a good testament to me, you know, trying to articulate, sometimes great and sometimes with great failure of articulating the sticks. But I get like, you know, I'm trying to, you know, diversify this, but I like what I like. I like the pepper leather component of the stick, and when I give my ratings, I judge it by if I want more and it's really close to the nub, gets a higher rating. If I don't want more and if this was the size and I was comfortable with it.
What do you think of this, by the way?
Definitely the better of the two pairings for the Bloody Mary because of the smoke component.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't try that cigarillo size we started with.
You know, but you do get a good mesquite.
This one's good.
Very salty though.
I love this, but the salty goes with the.
No, I like it.
The whole experience with the Bloody Mary and that smokiness and the saltiness. I mean, that's essentially this. It's weird with a Bloody Mary. Like with other pairings, I feel like you have to have some contrast. Like smoke a Maduro with a lighter beer, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, I don't know, have some contrast in your pairing. With the Bloody Mary, I feel like you got to be in the same ballpark. Like your cigar should have some of the same characteristics as the drink, which a Bloody Mary, I don't think there's too many options other than Kentucky Fire Cured to get that pairing. Now, Enrique Sanchez will tell you the Emerald Green goes really well, and I want to try that. The problem is I don't think they carry them next door anymore. We have to place an order.
Yeah, we
get those back in.
After that Stogie Geeks episode, they blew through all of them.
Yeah.
When you talk about purchasing power, they were like, Joe gave something a box. I gave it a box split, and they were like, they looked at it and they literally blew through 3 boxes just from, you know, someone leaking out that it was a box split, and they're like, you know, because I said 2 things. I said, number one, you're never gonna, in my opinion, see a cigar that's been sitting on the shelf for 3.5 years that I know of.
Yeah,
because it wasn't in their inventory.
And that's the other reason why they went. And they're like, oh, they've been sitting there for a while.
Oh, they've been sitting there. They got to be ready. And they were, but they're ready when they were good. They were just as good. They were better, but they were just as good. And they blew through.
I felt the same thing about the Elegancia, right? Like it wasn't. Age doesn't magically make a cigar better, right? It lets it come into its own. It's still the flavor characteristics of the original cigars I remember smoking are there. They're just more prominent, but they're still just okay in that particular case.
My experience with the Bloody Marys and the component, if the cigar is either earthy or gritty, you know how you have gritty on your palate?
No. Earthy, yes.
You don't have, like you can...
Gritty?
Like you can gritty. Almost like...
gritty is a physical sensation.
Yeah, no, like you can... Like people say, you know, it's got... You know how we say Davidoff hay and we can have a vision?
Yeah.
The gritty is like the dirt, like that, so it's earthy.
Like a gritty earthy.
A gritty earthy.
Yeah.
So if the cigar is...
Use it like an adjective, Joe.
If the
gritty earth.
If the cigar is gritty or earthy, it should pair well.
Now you're using earthy as an adjective.
Can't I use both?
I guess. Gritty, earthy, I mean...
You don't have smoked... Like for example, the Tatuaje Series P has... The wrapper feels exactly like this Kentucky Fire Cured. It's dry, it's bumpy, and it's oily.
Okay.
If I'm off my rocker, please tell me. Like,
you are. Dry and oily are two totally different things.
You don't. You
can't have dry oil wrestling.
Stop. Stop. Do you feel the bumps? Do you feel the bumps? Do you feel the bumps?
It's important to check for bumps.
You feel the bumps. Okay.
Okay. In my cigar. Yes, I'm feeling my cigar. Yes.
Texture of the wrapper.
Texture. Yes.
Okay. Of the wrapper.
Texture
of the Series P is the same as the Kentucky Fire.
Series P is a short filler tatuaje, right?
Yep, that's a tatuaje.
Tatuaje. Don't leave out the second ooh. Tatuaje. Yes.
Right? If it's gritty on the wrapper.
And
earthy on the palate, it should be safe for the Bloody Mary.
So this is your test for Bloody Mary.
This is my test for Bloody Mary.
If it's gritty, I don't know what that has to do with flavor, but let's play along. It's gritty.
Thank you.
It's gritty. And it's earthy. It's Bloody Mary.
And it's red. So it goes together, right?
It has to end in Y. It's a gritty, earthy, and Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
I don't know.
It kind of smells in here because you've been talking out your ass so much.
No.
If you're gritty, earthy.
No, if you were to say, Joe, name me 3 sticks that go with the Bloody Mary, they would have the same bumps on the wrapper.
What does that have to do with flavor, though?
Because it's gritty on the palate. Does that? Stogie Geeks listeners, email me at joeh@stogiegeeks.com. I will forward this. No, better yet, go to Paul at stogiegeeks.com and explain to him what gritty. You know what's inside my head. Please get it to Paul's email. Please get it to Paul's email, right?
All I'm saying is the feeling on the outside of the wrapper does not translate to flavor on your palate. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that if it has bumps, it should have an earthiness component to it. And if it has an earthiness component to it, it should be safe for a Bloody Mary.
How does bumps on the wrapper translate to flavor? You're saying bumps in the actual wrapper itself.
Do you feel bumps with this?
Well, I mean, there's lumps. Lumps and grittiness are two. Anyway. I don't know. I just smoke them. And tell you whether it's good or not.
I was trying to articulate for the new Stogie Geeks listener who wants to try cigars with Bloody Marys to have something, but now that they're totally confused, try everything with a Bloody Mary and let me know what you think.
Do the Kentucky Fire Cured with the Bloody Mary.
You have any more sticks?
I do not. No.
You don't?
No.
Okay. I'm out.
I know that this paired well with the Bloody Mary. That's all I know. And I know that this is better than the... I feel like the original Kentucky Fire Cured had a lot more of that fire in the retrohale. Like, you could really... Like, it was very pungent to retrohale. And I don't know if it's I'm on, like, round 2 of this reoccurring cold that I've got. But I don't feel like I get that pungent... Like, someone's just stuck my cigar in a campfire. I don't get that anymore. I don't know if they've knocked it back a little bit on the or if it's the size, because these two sizes smoke very differently. But even this chunky size, is that what I said it was? Chunky? Hold on. Yeah, chunky. This is the chunky 4x46. I don't get that heavy campfire. I get a hint of it on the retrohale, which is nice because again it pairs well with the Bloody Mary. So there you have it.
Yeah, it does. Pairs very well with the Bloody Mary. Do we have any more Bloody Marys left, or is it?
Do we have a whole pitcher? I made way too many Bloody Marys. I took them to 2 different destinations yesterday, and we've been drinking them here today, and there's still some left.
All right.
So
I like it.
Alrighty. Well, that concludes this episode of the Stogie Geek Show. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.